Hello and welcome to the Edupedia world. In this tutorial, we'll continue studying about the control statements, and in that we were studying loop statements. So far we have covered introduction to loop statements, for loop, while loop, do while, and for each loop. In this video, we'll complete the tutorial by learning about jumps in loop and labeled loops. So let's begin. Jump in loops. Intro to branching statements. Well, jumps in loop is utilized to learn branching statements. So we have three kind of branch statement in Java: break, continue, and return. These statements are used to perform jumps in loops. So let's read one of them one by one. These statements transfer the control to another part of your program. Okay, so let's start by break. Break has two forms, labeled and unlabeled. You saw the unlabeled form in our previous discussion of switch statement where we were doing switch and we were using break with that. You can also use unlabeled break to terminate a for, while, or do while loop. Fine. So this is an example of jumping loops. Well, the fonts are quite small, so I could understand that there would be a difficulty in reading it from here. So I'm going to run this example in IDE Eclipse for a better visibility. Okay guys, so I have created a class break demo and I have created a main method inside this class. After that, I have created an array of integer, array of ints, and have stored some values into that. Again, I have created a variable search for, and the value I have inserted is 12. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to search the number 12 or whatever the number there is in search for variable in this array, and I'll be utilizing break. Again, I have taken a variable int I and one more variable boolean founded, which I have initialized to false. Now I have created a for loop for I equals to 0. You can see over here I haven't do for int I equals to 0 because I have already initialized the I over here. So therefore I'm using I equals to 0. Then I less than array of ints dot length. So this is the condition. I'm going to run my loop till the length of array. So whatever the length of array is, I'm going to run it till here. And why it is less than? Because the length starts from 0. Okay, so it will cover whole of the array. And then I plus plus. After that, I'm checking if array of ints I equals search for. So this statement will actually try to find out the number 12 in this array. It will actually going to check each element of this array with the number 12. If it matches, then it will set found it to true, which was over here false, and it will break the for loop. Since we have found our number, so I don't want to still keep on executing my for loop. I want to save my time and I want to increase the execution speed. That's why I'm going to put a break over here. So once I have found it, I'm going to break it. Okay. And after that, once the for loop is finished, I will put this condition to check if found it. That means if found it is equal to true. So it will only and only become true if this condition is true. So if we have actually searched for it and we able to find it out, then we are keeping found it as true. And it will become only true if it's, we have reached over here. And if it's founded, then we are going to print found search for at index I. So we are going to print the index of the array on which it is found. Otherwise, we are going to print not in the array. Fine. So what's the purpose of break over here? I'm going to run this program firstly to show you the output. So it says found 12 at index 4. So you can see from here like 0, second, first, second, third, and fourth. On fourth index, we are having the number 12. Now let's comment, break, and see what impact does it make. Well, over here you can see the output that we are getting is found 12 at the index 10. Why is it so? What's there on index 10? Let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there is nothing on the index 10th. Okay, so why is it saying it has found 12th on index 10 is because if you are not putting a break statement over here, so even if founded becomes true, right? Founded has already become true when the index was 4, but we are not breaking it. So the loop keep on running. Now if the loop keep on running, the I will become 5, 6 and it will run till 9, and when it will become 10 the loop will stop. So when the loop will stop, when the loop will come out, actually the value of I has will be 10. So now when we are going to print the value of I, it will print 10. Okay. So that's the purpose of break, so that as soon as we found the number, we should stop the execution so that the index will remain over there and we can print the value of index over there. And moreover, we don't need to execute it any further since we have already found it. Unless and until there are multiple iteration of this number 12 and we need to find all the iteration we need to, or we should break it over here to run it properly. So I hope so, like the demo of break was quite easy to understand. Now let's see what's about the continue keyword. Okay, the continue statement skips the current iteration for while and or for do while loop. So it is going to skip the iteration. The unlabeled form skips to the end of innermost loop body and evaluates the Boolean expression that controls the loop. Okay, I'm going to just explain you in a simple line the difference between break and continue. Well, break is used to break the current loop. So if you are there in a loop and you have used a break statement and that statement gets executed, then you will immediately come out of that loop no matter what. Okay. But instead of break, if you have used continue in that loop, then that iteration will get skipped. So for example, after break, we have also written, or sorry, for example, after continue, we have written about 5 statements and our continue get executed. Then all those 5 statements beneath the continue statement will not get executed and it will skip the iteration. So it will still remain in the loop. It is not coming out of the loop, but it is just skipping that current iteration. So if I is equal to 5 and my continue, get executed, then whatever written below the continue statement won't get executed and it will skip that iteration and immediately go to I equals to 6. Fine. But in case of a break, it will just, stop the for loop and come outside the for loop. So now let's see the example for continue in our IDE. Okay guys, so this is the example. I have created a class continue demo and I have created my main method. Inside that I have taken a string search me and my string is Peter Piper picked a peak of pickled peppers. Fine. So it's a tongue twister that I'm using, nothing else. You can use any string. And then I have taken a variable max and I have initialized it to the length of the string. And then I have taken another variable num_ps which I have initialized to 0. Okay. And after that I'm creating a loop. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm able to see like what is the number of times p is used in this search me string. Okay. Then I'm using a loop and I'm going to check if my current character is not equals to p. So if it is not equals to p, then I'm going to do continue. Why continue? Because I'm not interested in anything which is not p. So if it is not p, then continue. Otherwise, if it is p, Then I'm going to increase the numpys. So firstly, let's try to run this and see what's the output. Well, it's saying found 9 p's in the string. Okay, and now let's see how it is done. So over here, I have used continue. So whenever it will start executing, the first variable encountered is p. Okay, so search me dot caret not equals to p. It is false because it is equals to p. So this statement won't be executed. Fine. It will won't be executed and it will go to this line and will increase the numpys to 1. Then E will come. In E, this statement will become true because E is not actually equals to P. So this statement get executed. The continue will be executed for I equals to 1. So now when the continue get executed, I told you whatever is written beneath the continue inside the for loop. So inside this for loop, beneath the continue, we have this line. So this will get skipped for that iteration. So now for E, that is I is equal to 1, we are not going to increment P's. It will skip whatever written beneath it and it will skip that iteration and I will immediately become as 2 and it will check for T. Again for T this condition will be true and it will skip the iteration. So it will keep on skipping the iteration whenever we are not getting P. Fine, and as soon as we get P it will increase the num PS. I hope that's fine, and once everything is done it will simply print the number of P's in the string. Fine, so I hope you understood the value of continue over here. Now let me try to change continue to break and let's see what's the impact if I'm writing break instead of continue. Let me run this. Okay, it says found 1 p in the string. Why so? Because when it reads Peter, it reads p, it increase the numpys, okay? But afterward, when it reaches to E, this condition becomes true. If this condition becomes true, then this gets executed. The break get executes, so it comes out of the loop. So you see, it's not skipping the iteration, it's just coming out of the loop and printing the statement, whatever is there afterwards. So just by reading PE, the value of numpys is 1, so that's why it's printing 1. So I hope so you have got like what I'm trying to say and what is the benefit of using continue over here, because we need to skip the iteration, not break the loop. Fine, so that was about continue and break. Now let's go to return statement and see what is it saying. Okay, the last of the branching statement is the return statement. The return statement exists from the current method and control flow returns to where method was invoked. The return statement has two forms, one that returns a value and one that doesn't. To return a value, simply put the value or an expression that calculates the value after return keyword. Okay. So return statement is actually simply used to return any value from a method. Make sure that you have a particular return type of that method and you are returning the value of same data type from that method. And wherever you are calling that method, the value will be returned over there. And this is how we execute a return statement. In this statement, we are, doing the calculation over here only and returning it at the same time. So it is, perfectly legal. We can do it. We can pre-increment the count and at the same time return it in a single statement. The data type of returned value must match the type of the method declared return value, as I told you. When a method is declared void, the use of form of return type doesn't return a value. So whenever you are using void with the method, you should not or you cannot return any value from that method. Okay. And just to, simply not return a value and still use a return statement, you can simply do return and don't return anything. Okay. So I hope so return is clear. Let's quickly do an example of return in. Okay, over here I'm creating a class return demo. And now I'm creating main method. And let me have another method which is public add. Let me take two input variable int a and int b, and let it return something. Let it return the sum of these two. So the sum of these two will still be an integer, so the return type will be integer, and I'm doing return a plus b. So it's perfectly legal to do a computation and return in the same line as I'm doing over here. It is actually equivalent to doing int c is equal to a plus b and then return c. But since I don't want to, use c unnecessary, that's why I'm doing return a plus b in the same statement. And now let me call this method. For that I have to create an object of this class. Okay, for simplicity, let me make this method as static because I don't want to go into the object creation right now. Let me add 3 and 4. Now, since this method is not static, it will give me an error. So, in order to, simply call it from a static method, I need to make it a static. So, yeah, this is a rule. I mean, if you are going to call a non-static method from a static method, it will give you an error. So you can only call a static from a static method. That's why I've changed add to static. Now let me take a variable to get or to fetch the value of this method, whatever it's returning, and let's print that over here. Fine. Now let me run it. You can see that I'm getting 7 because it is adding a plus b, 3 plus 4, and it is returning over here. So I'm getting 7 in C and I'm printing it. What else you can do is you also need not have a C variable over here. Instead of printing C over here, let's simply print the result of add 3 comma 4 over here. It will still give us the same results. Over here we are actually not creating a variable C, which is a good thing because we don't need to unnecessarily create the variables which we don't need. Okay, so this was about the return statement, and in case if you change the return type to void, it will give you an error because you cannot use a return statement inside it. So you have to comment this out, and then again this will also give you an error because this method is not returning anything. So what are you going to print? It will still give you an error. Okay, so let me change it back to int. Fine. This was about return. Okay guys, so we are going to cover the last topic, that is labeling the loops. So the thing is, you can also label your loops, right? There's a loop and I can name it. So labeling is actually kind of naming the loops, and why we need to label a loop is sometimes we can have multiple condition within a loop and we want to break or continue a loop, but uh, we want to break and continue from one particular loop. So if I'm having a nested loop and I simply write break, then it doesn't know which for loop to break. If I want to break the loop that is outside, then how can I mention that? So that you can do is using a label. So just go through the syntax. In this, I'm using label 1. So label 1 can be any name. I can write ABC simply or XYZ, whatever I want. So label 1 is a name, then colon. And after that, you can write the for loop. So I have given a name to this for loop. Then I'm writing label 2 and then again a for loop. So I've given a name label to this for loop. Then I'm writing with if condition 1. So whatever there's a condition, if that is true, then I'm doing break label 1. So over here, just check it out. I'm breaking from the outer loop. If I simply write break, then it will break from the inner loop, that is label 2. But I want to break from the outer loop and go outside both the loops. That's why I'm using label 1 over here. So it will make my execution to come out of the label 1, to come out of the first loop. Then I have another condition, condition 2, and in that condition I'm breaking out from the label 2. Okay, so I hope you got why we need labels, and now let's try to run an example. Guys, so I've created a class break with a label demo, and inside that I have a main method. So it's, it's a similar example as we have done with the break. I have created a array of int and I'm using a search for variable. So I'm going to search 12 in this, and then I'm having three more variable int I, j, and boolean found it, which is false. Okay. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually using a label search, and I'm using a for loop. Inside a for loop, I'm using a variable int I, which is 0, and I'm taking the loop till the end, till the length, and then inside that for loop, I'm again using one more loop. So over here I'm using int j. Okay. And now what I'm doing is I'm basically checking array of int ij. So you can notice that in that I'm using a 2D array instead of 1D array. So, to search from a 2D array, I need two index I and j, and for that I need to use two loops, that is nested loops. That's why I'm using two loops that are nested loops. And then I'm searching it for search for. If found it equals to true, then I'm using break but with a label search. So basically, if I found the variable, I just don't want to break from this loop, but I want to break out from this loop. So to break out from outer loop, I'm using a label named search and I'm doing break search. So as soon as it founds the number, it will come out of both the loops. Okay. So over here I'm checking if found it, then it will print the number, and otherwise it will say it is not in the array. So let's run this. So it's saying found it at 1 0. So 1 is like the row and 0 is the column. So it has found it on 1 and 0 index. Fine. So this is how you can do it in a 2D array using a label with a break. Okay. So I hope so it's clear. And yeah, it is pretty simple. You just need to, you just need to know like when to use a label, and if you want to use it, you can use it anywhere. Okay guys, so thank you as of now. Let's meet in the next tutorial. Thank you.